Welcome to Pop's Party Family, where fun and magic come alive. New videos and shorts every day. Let's laugh, learn, and play. Hey!
She traded her magic dress, then disappeared forever. Part as you saw in the previous part of She Traded Her Magic Dress, then disappeared forever. Grandma Annie took her grandchildren shopping, where Olivia spent hours searching for the perfect dress. On the way home, Grandma warned her about Princess Beena, whose love for new clothes became her greatest weakness. After receiving a magical outfit every day from the forest goddess, Beena promised never to wear or exchange another dress. But with the gift came a mysterious warning. One wrong choice would change her life forever. Now, let's continue with Part B. The strange whisper stayed in Beena's mind all day. She looked around her bedroom again and again, but there was no one hiding behind the curtains or under the bed. Finally, she smiled nervously. It was probably just the wind, she told herself. She wore the magical dress, and everyone in the palace gasped in amazement. The dress shimmered like the morning sky after a summer rain. Tiny silver stars sparkled across the fabric, and every step Beena took made it glow softly. Even the royal designers stood speechless. "I've never seen anything like it," one of them whispered. The next morning, another magical outfit appeared. This one was emerald green with golden flowers that seemed to bloom as she walked. The day after that came a snow-white gown with sparkling blue crystals. Every sunrise brought something even more beautiful than the day before. At first, everyone admired the princess. Wow! Amazing! She looks like a movie star. People smiled, waved, and applauded whenever she passed through the streets. Weeks turned into months. Soon the magical dresses became something people expected. "Oh, that's today's magical dress," someone would say. "I wonder what tomorrow's will look like," another person replied before continuing with their work. The excitement slowly disappeared. Beena couldn't understand it. "They used to cheer every time they saw me," she thought sadly. "Why doesn't anyone seem excited anymore?" She began trying bigger smiles, prettier hairstyles, and sparkling jewelry, but nothing changed. One afternoon, she asked her best friend Lily, "Do you like my new dress?" Lily smiled kindly. "Of course I do. They're all beautiful." "Then why doesn't anyone talk about them anymore?" Lily shrugged. "They're magical, Beena. We know every dress will be perfect. After a while, people get used to perfect." Those words made Beena unusually quiet. The king noticed the sadness on his daughter's face. "My dear," he said gently, "people don't love you because of your clothes. They love you because you are kind, funny, and caring." Beena nodded politely, but deep inside she wasn't convinced. As autumn arrived, Willow Creek held its biggest harvest festival. Music filled the streets. Families laughed together. Children played games, and food stands sold apple pies, popcorn, roasted corn, and fresh lemonade. The whole town was full of joy. Naturally, Beena wore the most beautiful magical dress anyone had ever seen. It sparkled with tiny golden leaves that danced in the sunlight. She expected everyone to stop and stare. Instead, most people simply smiled and continued enjoying the festival. Beena felt invisible. Did they even notice me? She wondered. Then something unexpected caught her attention. A young girl around her age was walking through the crowd, wearing a simple light blue cotton dress with a little white ribbon around her waist. Nothing about the dress was expensive, yet everyone smiled warmly at her. Children ran over to hug the girl. Older people greeted her happily. The bakers handed her warm cookies. Musicians invited her to dance. Wherever she walked, people smiled with genuine happiness. Beena couldn't understand why. Curious, she quietly followed the girl through the festival. Soon she discovered the reason. The girl wasn't attracting attention because of her clothes. She was helping everyone. She carried groceries for an elderly woman. She comforted a crying child. She shared her lunch with a hungry little boy. She thanked every person with a warm smile. People admired her kindness, not her dress. For a moment, Beena remembered her father's words. They love your heart. She almost turned around and walked away. But then another thought entered her mind. Maybe if I wore her dress, people would admire me the same way. Jealousy quietly defeated wisdom. Beena walked over with a friendly smile. Hello, she said. The girl bowed politely. Your Highness. I have a strange question, Beena said. Would you trade dresses with me? You can keep my magical dress forever, and I'll wear yours. The girl stared in complete shock. You want my simple cotton dress? Beena nodded. The girl hesitated. I don't think this is a good idea. But Beena smiled again. I insist. Slowly, the girl agreed. Neither of them noticed that dark clouds had begun gathering above the festival. Just as Beena reached out to take the simple blue dress, a cold wind rushed across the town. The festival music suddenly stopped. The birds flew away. The air became strangely silent. For a split second, Beena remembered the forest goddess's warning. Her hand froze. Should she stop, or should she ignore the warning? At that exact moment, far away in the magical forest, the forest goddess suddenly opened her eyes. The choice has arrived, she whispered sadly. The future now depends on a single decision. A bright green light shot into the sky. The ancient trees began shaking. Even the animals ran deeper into the forest, as if they knew something terrible was about to happen. Back at the festival, the young girl slowly held out her simple cotton dress. Beena reached forward. Their hands were only inches apart. The sky rumbled with thunder. The wind grew stronger. And then, a mysterious voice echoed through the air. Princess, this is your final chance to walk away. Everyone looked around, but no one could see who had spoken. Beena closed her eyes. For one long moment, the entire world seemed to stand still. Then, she made her choice. The moment her fingers touched the simple cotton dress, a blinding flash of green light exploded across the festival, followed by a deafening roar that shook the whole kingdom. When the light disappeared, Princess Beena was gone. Only the magical dress remained on the ground, and somewhere deep inside the enchanted forest, someone was waiting for her. The people at the harvest festival stood frozen in fear. 1 second, Princess Beena had been smiling. The next second, she had completely disappeared. The magical dress lay on the ground, gently moving in the wind. No one understood what had happened. King Andrew and Queen Sophia rushed through the crowd. Beena! The queen cried over and over again. The king searched every street, every tent, and every corner of the festival. But their daughter was nowhere to be found. Far away, deep inside the enchanted forest, Beena slowly opened her eyes. She was standing in front of the forest goddess. The forest was silent except for the soft sound of leaves moving in the wind. The goddess looked at her with sadness, not anger. Beena, she said softly, I warned you. I gave you everything you wished for, but you forgot the promise you made. Beena lowered her head. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I'm sorry, she whispered. I wasn't really jealous of her dress, Beena admitted. I was jealous because people loved her. The goddess nodded. And do you know why they loved her? Beena thought for a moment before quietly answering. Because of her kindness, not because of what she wore. The forest goddess smiled gently. You have finally understood the lesson that no beautiful dress could ever teach. Beena cried even harder. I've caused my parents so much pain. I would give away every dress I've ever owned just to hug them one more time. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Finally, the goddess said, Every choice has a consequence. Magic cannot simply erase a broken promise. Beena closed her eyes. I understand. Before you leave the human world, the goddess continued, I will grant you one final wish. Beena looked up with hope. Anything? One wish, the goddess replied. Choose wisely. Beena didn't ask for a castle. She didn't ask for jewels. She didn't ask for beautiful clothes. Instead, she smiled through her tears. Please turn me into something that will always remind people that kindness is more important than appearance. And something useful that helps every family. The goddess's eyes sparkled with pride. You have finally become the princess your parents always believed you could be. With a wave of her glowing hand, bright green light surrounded Beena. The wind gently lifted around her as tiny golden leaves danced through the forest. Then, the princess disappeared forever. In her place grew a small green plant. Beneath the soil rested a round onion. Its many layers wrapped around one another like dozens of beautiful dresses carefully folded together. The forest goddess smiled. Now your story will never be forgotten. Back in the kingdom, the king and queen searched for days. One morning, the forest goddess appeared before them and gently showed them the little onion plant growing in the forest. Without saying a word, they understood. The queen hugged the tiny plant with tears in her eyes. The king quietly whispered, "Our little Beena." From that day on, the people of Willow Creek planted onions in their gardens every spring. Whenever they peeled one, they remembered the princess who had finally learned that a beautiful heart shines brighter than beautiful clothes. And whenever tears rolled down their cheeks while cutting onions, they smiled, remembering the kind girl Beena had become. Grandma Annie finished the story just as Grandpa Joe parked the van in front of the house. For a few moments, nobody spoke. Even Ethan, who was usually joking about everything, sat quietly. Olivia looked down at the shopping bag resting on her lap. She remembered how many dresses she had rejected that day. She felt a little embarrassed. "Grandma," she said softly, "do you really think I could become like Princess Beena?" Grandma Annie laughed warmly. "No, sweetheart." She gently squeezed Olivia's hand. "You already made a better choice." Olivia looked confused. "I did?" Grandma Annie nodded. "Yes, because you listened to the story before it was too late." Everyone laughed with relief. Grandpa Joe grinned. "And besides," he joked, "I'd rather eat onion rings than turn one of my grandkids into an onion." The whole van filled with laughter again. Even Olivia couldn't stop giggling. That evening, Olivia opened her closet. Instead of wishing for something new, she smiled at the clothes she already had. The next morning, she even donated several outfits she no longer wore to children who needed them. For the first time, buying clothes wasn't what made her happiest. Helping someone else did. Grandma Annie smiled proudly as she watched from the kitchen window. She knew that stories were like tiny seeds. Sometimes they took time to grow, but once they reached the heart, they could change a person's life forever. And that's why, even today, people say an onion has so many layers because of Princess Beena's countless beautiful dresses. And every tear we shed while cutting an onion reminds us of the loving princess who finally discovered the greatest truth of all. True beauty is never found in the clothes you wear. It is found in the kindness, gratitude, and love you share with others. Moral of the story: the newest clothes, the biggest house, or the most expensive things can never make a person truly special. What people remember is a kind heart, humble spirit, and generous actions. Be grateful for what you have, because true beauty comes from within and kindness never goes out of style.
Thank you for watching. We're so glad you're here. Like, share, subscribe, and spread the cheer. Join the Hop Street